to your heart. Tell me that you understand, 'cause you are the one for me. If you just believe, 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 Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart. Tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart. Tell me that you understand, 'cause you are the one for me. You just believe. You just believe. You just believe. You just believe. Listen to your heart. Tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart. Tell me that you understand, 'cause you are the one for me. If you just believe, 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 believe. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart. Tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart. Tell me that you understand, 'cause you are the one for me. You just believe. You just believe. You just believe. You just believe. Listen to your heart. Tell me who you
Yes, people. Good evening, people. Wherever you are, wherever you're from, it's great to see you all here. There's about 20 people in the building, and that's great to see. Some of you are enjoying our house music in the stream starting screen. We know we used to have a pretty dead song, and it's something we were thinking about for a long time. We're like, we need a better tune, essentially, to get the people a bit more pumped and get them a bit more excited to see what we have to say. And as always, get involved in the chat yourselves. Tell us your thoughts on everything we're talking about. Let's see who we've got. Haaland the monster, KDB goal, boom, says Alec Johnson. Chelsea, Arsenal and Rags lost 2 points. Spuds and Dippers lose 3. City win, perfect. Are we the only Big Six team to have won this weekend? I think we are, right?
Yes, we are. That is the weird thing about this weekend is all the other Big Six are now, I think you told me, and I think you told the rest of the people in the chat that you're not on the Big Six, but I'd be interested to see how that goes, because none of them have won.
I'm getting messages and DMs and mentions on Twitter, left, right, and center, being like, "You have to cook Grizz, you have to cook Toby, you have to cook this person, that person," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure they'll cook each other, but I won't be there. I won't be there." Just so you people know, whoever is here that watches the Big Six, I won't be there tomorrow night in the Big Six because I will be in Dortmund. I'm flying to Germany tomorrow evening to go to the City Dortmund game on Tuesday night. So the Big Six, I'm missing the chaotic one. It would have been great to go on with my chest out and be like, "Yeah, we're the only team that got a win this weekend. Chat to me." But unfortunately, I can't. And I would have loved to have had a chat with Grizz. I would have loved to have told him about football being a humbler, because he told me all of that all last week about how football is a humbler, and I had to be a bit more humble and less arrogant or whatever. But you know what? It is what it is. It is what it is. I won't be there. I'm sure. I don't know who's taking my place in the Big Six. I assume maybe Daps. I genuinely, Young Pep says, "Who's in your place?" Mate, I don't know. I know Steve is going to Dortmund as well. I know Lewis from City Extra is going to Dortmund as well. I don't know, is Daps going? If he's not, I assume it'll be Daps. I don't know who else they'd call upon. Barry says, "What a good week for City with all the others in the league. Come on, City." What a great weekend. All the big six. Everyone's buzzing, man. All the City fans in the chat are buzzing that all the other big six clubs drop points. And this is what it is, man. When you're a champion, you do come out in these tough times. When everyone else is dropping points, you motor on. I mean, we're going to touch on the other big six results essentially in the Premier League this weekend on this stream. So we're going to talk about United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Southampton. I watched Spurs and Newcastle today. That was a really interesting game. And who else? Liverpool, Nottingham Forest, of course. Absolute shocker of a result for Liverpool. We're going to touch on it all. May as well. Obviously, I'm not in the big six tomorrow, so I may as well give my thoughts here. And for anybody who cares what I think about the results, we'll talk about it here. So all of you, whatever you guys want to talk about, let us know in the chat. What games, what has piqued your interest this weekend? Who played well? What clubs were? Who deserves a roasting? Who deserves a cooking? Manchester, la. Everyone's buzzing, man. It's a good time to be a blue. It's a good time to be a blue. And of course, we beat Brighton. We may as well start with City Brighton, Joe. 3-1 to City. I predicted a 3-1 on the big six. Correct score for me. I'll get scores on the board there. I don't know what I predicted on our preview. Did I say 3-0? Or I said 2-0.
Yeah, you said 2-0. I said 3-0. So we're both technically right.
Okay.
You got the goal difference right. I got the goal scored right. See, we're both winning.
But I got it spot on the big six, where it actually matters, where there's a competitive league for guessing correct scores and guessing scores or guessing results and that kind of thing. I got it correct score. I think I'm second on that leaderboard as well. I'm doing quite well. But listen, like I said, 3-1 over Brighton. From what I saw, I won't lie, people, I didn't see the whole game from start to finish. It wasn't televised. I don't know what countries most of you are from. Maybe let me know in the chat if it was on TV in your country. But in the UK and Ireland, the 3 o'clock kickoffs don't get shown on television. Now, I may have attempted to watch, or this is all allegedly, I may have attempted to watch an outsourced stream that didn't work very well for me, so I only saw snippets of the game. But from what I did see, it wasn't actually our best performance, Joe. And from the reaction I've seen from other people talking about the game, I know you might have saw a little bit more of it than me. It wasn't our best performance. Haaland with 2. I saw all the goals. I saw Ederson's assist for Haaland's goal. I saw the penalty. I saw the reason we got the penalty. I think we'll talk about that because I'm not sure it actually was a penalty. I think Bernardo was doing a bit of play acting there. And I saw Kevin De Bruyne's absolute thunder bastard of a strike. What a fucking goal from Kevin De Bruyne, man. We haven't seen him score a goal like that in a long time. His stats are very good, but that was vintage De Bruyne, that goal. That was vintage De Bruyne. Poster stamp, whatever you want to call it. Top corner. Absolutely brilliant. But like I said, it wasn't our best performance. I think things were slow. Things were choppy, maybe a bit lethargic. I think, Joe, the priority for that game, though, I'm not too concerned about a performance. Any 3-1 win, any 3 points collected is obviously fantastic. I'm not too concerned about the actual performance. The main thing was getting the ring rust off, if you like, because we spoke about it in depth in the preview that we don't do well when we have a lengthy break. And in the week of a footballer, and particularly Manchester City, the way we operate, a week off is a lengthy break. It doesn't suit us. We motor it. We work the best when we have a game every 3-4 days. So we were obviously a bit kind of cautious or anxious about how will we turn up. But the main thing, like I said, it was just getting the ring rust off, getting ourselves back into winning ways. Johnny Lara says there, we need those every 3-day games. It's weird, man. We're probably the only club in the world where we're saying, give us the fixtures, whereas you've got people like Klopp and Ole used to do it, and I think Tuchel used to do it. They'd be like, oh, fixture congestion, the schedule's hectic, how do you expect us to keep up with the fixtures? There's too many, it's not fair, the players' welfare. And the thing is, I actually get what they're saying. I totally understand it on a human level, and it's a perfectly normal thing to be a bit concerned about, is overplaying your players because injuries come into the equation and all that sort of thing. But from our perspective, we're like, nah, give us the game. Like I said on the preview as well, Joe, that even though we'd lost to Liverpool, I still wanted the Arsenal game. I still genuinely wanted to play Arsenal, and it could have been the worst time to play Arsenal, or it could have been the best. There was no like, oh, it's gonna be even or fair. It's like, we've just lost to Liverpool. Now we're playing against the league leaders. They could be full of confidence. We could be feeling wounded and they could beat us, or else we'd be going in feeling ruthless. It would have been a fantastic tactical battle and see what type of City would turn up. But I wanted that game. I really wanted to play 3 days later after Anfield. Let ourselves get back out in the pitch, attempt to get another 3 points on the board and that sort of thing. But listen, we had to wait a week. I'm digressing a little bit here. We had to wait a week. We beat Brighton 3-1. Talk to me. What are we thinking? De Bruyne with 1, Haaland with 2.
Not great, to be honest. Well, obviously, result aside, not fantastic, not scintillating, not absolutely champagne football like we used to. That's totally fine. In a week where I don't think anyone saw this coming, where every other team that, would count themselves in a fight for at least top 4, in a week where they all drop points, perfect. 3 points, I'll take it. all day, every day, hands down. I don't care how we do it. If everyone else is dropping points, we'll just, quietly go about our business. Little 3-1 at a 3 o'clock kickoff, not televised, against Brighton. Who's going to care? No one's even really going to notice. I mean, Arsenal fans, I've seen a number of Arsenal fans on Twitter say, you can draw a game and pick up a point away from home, but when you're in a title race with City, it feels like a loss. And Liverpool fans have felt no sympathy for them, going, yeah, this is your first time, just get used to it. Every time you drop points, it feels like a loss. Like, even if you draw, get a last-minute goal to seal a draw, it doesn't matter. It still feels like a loss because it just feels inevitable that we're going to win. Like, when you're going against us, you have to celebrate us drawing like it's like we've lost, essentially, because that's just how it is. That's how we operate. And I didn't think it was going to be the best of game. Like you said, we've had that break. We had that week break. And it was a week break after a loss as well. That's never, ever a good thing. But we came through it. I think I didn't see the first 10 minutes. I was trying to find a place to watch it, to be honest. And the first goal... Allegedly. Let's just park it there. Allegedly trying to find a place. But you see with the first goal, it took, I think, 20 minutes, 22 minutes, something like that. Just one long ball from the keeper. That's it. A long ball, direct, Route 1 football. It's not pretty, but it gets the job done. And that's the big thing. I think the first goal in that game was sort of a little calm on the nerves. I think that's exactly what we needed. Just a little bit more time on the ball, a little bit less pressure being 1-0 up. And obviously it worked in our favour. And I loved the first goal, to be honest. I loved that it was literally just one long ball over the top. What's the fella's name? Robert Sanchez, that's the one. The Brighton keeper just completely misses the ball coming out of his goal, and Haaland puts Webster on his arse and just taps it into an empty goal. Like, people were calling that for a foul. Like, I'm sorry. The man's just too strong. It's not a foul. He's simply just too strong. It's a shoulder to shoulder. It's a 50-50. Both players are going for the ball, and the defender's ended up on his arse. That's just how it is. And it's in the back of the net, and it's 1-0. And I think just 2 minutes before that was where we were denied a clear penalty. Now, the one that we actually got given as a penalty was soft as shit. I don't think it was a penalty. I think it's very, very soft, and we were very lucky to get it. However, there was the one before, literally, I think it was the attack that we had directly before we actually scored the first goal, where Haaland's been cropped by Sanchez in the box. He makes no contact on the ball, makes contact on Haaland's, I think it was his ankle or his foot, and he goes over, and it was checked, and it wasn't given a penalty. I was baffled at the time, but, we move on. Refereeing, we know it's inconsistent. We know that one week it's minimal contact, next week maximum contact. It never makes any sense. But at the end of the day, the penalty that he scored, unsavable. Absolutely unsavable. Keeper gets the right way. He didn't even bother diving. He ended up on his knees. He's like, no, I'm not going anywhere near that. He would have had his hands taken off. That's exceptional. And I think it's worth noting that Riyad Mahrez was on the pitch and he still took it. Yeah. That is, Mahrez is a senior player. He is number one penalty taker and has been for the last couple of years. And he's basically gone and missed one in Copenhagen, and Haaland's gone, here, mate, listen, my turn now. Watch how it's done. My turn. And he's put it away. He's absolutely buried it. And it was relatively comfortable. I think second half we didn't start well at all. Brighton were on top in the second half. The goal that they scored, Ederson should be saving it. Let's be clear. He really should be saving it. It's in his near post. He's outside the box. That shouldn't be going in. I'm sorry. That's poor goalkeeping. However, I will big him up a little bit because he did get the assist and he saved the Trossard one-on-one where Manuel Akanji lived up to the number 25 and did a Fernandinho-esque mistake on the halfway line like he did against Real Madrid. Vinicius Junior, where he puts it through his legs and sprints off. Akanji did the same thing with Trossard. I think he fell over and Trossard with through one-on-one. Ederson, one-on-one save, credit to him. But, that third goal was just the killer. That third goal was the killer. Absolute, again, unstoppable goal. It's the thing where De Bruyne, I didn't think he was playing well again. I didn't think he was playing too well. Not that he was poor. I just think he had relatively little impact on the game until that point. Gave away a couple of fouls. Hadn't really done much going forward. Hadn't really done anything absolutely catastrophic either. But then he just pops up. This is the thing. You can't take De Bruyne off the pitch because he's a player that can just turn up in a moment and stick one in the top bins. Like, that is the player that he is. So, relatively comfortable. Nothing really worth shouting about. Nothing really to nitpick at and go, yeah, that's absolutely abysmal. You need to improve on that. I think we're starting to learn that Akanji isn't the most comfortable playing at right back. I know he can do it, but the last 2 games that he's played, both at Anfield and at Brighton. You know, he picked up a yellow card at Anfield, could have got himself sent off, made a mistake, which almost led to a Brighton equaliser. I just don't think he's too comfortable on the right of the defence. I know he can do it. I just don't think he's best there. And I think the last thing I want to mention is just the Grealish-Mahrez thing. I think we need to just bury this right now, Mr. Josep Pep Guardiola. Please stop. It doesn't work. I mean, the player ratings, they both got a 6. That is nothing to do with them as individual players. Nothing to do with it whatsoever. I thought Mahrez looked a little bit more up for it. I think, you know, he had a nutmeg. We almost scored off of some great build-up play involving Mahrez on the right-hand side in the first half. It's just they cancel each other out. I'm so sick of saying this. They just cancel each other out week in, week out. They both just perform poor when on the pitch. Again, Grealish didn't really do much. Not his own fault. Mahrez looked poor again. Not really his own fault. The only thing that was Mahrez's fault was the fact that he missed an absolute sitter. He missed a sitter, which Brighton went up the other end and scored from. That's the only thing that I can say Mahrez has to be scoring there. He's one-on-one with the keeper on his left foot. He's got time to pick a place, and he just puts it at the keeper, straight at the keeper. That's the one thing I would say Mahrez needs to be doing better. But maybe that's a confidence thing. Maybe that's because he's not in the team and he's not playing and he's low on confidence. But he still needs to do better. But again, like, there's nothing to shout about. I know I've rambled on a little bit there, but there's genuinely nothing to really, you know,
There's
say.
a lot to break down, though.
There's
a lot to break down, though.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that you can go in detail on without anything being, you know, there's no highlight-worthy moment. Apart from the De Bruyne goal, there really is no sort of highlight-worthy moments in that game.
No, but we have to talk, I think, a little bit about the small narratives, or the small subplots, if you like, the maybe we weren't expecting, like the Haaland penalty taking situation. But listen, we have a super chat here from Nickdal, Zar35. Nickdal, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate that, mate. Like I said, I always say to people, we don't ask for super chats, we don't ask for donations, but when you do, obviously it's massively, massively appreciated. It helps keep the lights on. It helps keep the lights on and all that kind of thing. But if you want to just support the channel for free, hit the like button. There's like 35 people here now. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, help us get to 5k. That's the next big goal. We've just smashed 4k out of the park, people. Let's get to 5k soon. Anyway, Nick Toll, the super chat says, Ederson made about 3 misplaced passes, but had a huge save in the second half and a great assist, yet fans still hound him. Thoughts on his performance? Ederson is someone that I've spoke about a little bit, because you know what, when City are winning pretty well every week and you dominate all the ball, your goalkeeper's not going to be a massive talking point. Like, we all know what Ederson contributes in terms of his footballing ability. He's a very intelligent footballer. He's the perfect example of a modern day goalkeeper, Ederson. You know, he plays the way managers nowadays want their goalkeepers to play. You can see Arteta trying to get Ramsdale to do the same thing. You can see glimpses of it all over world football now. I'm a regular watcher of Glasgow Celtic as well, and I see Ange Postecoglou doing the same thing with Joe Hart. He wants Joe Hart to play out from the back. We know as City fans that was never Joe Hart's strong point. But with Ederson, he gets away with his shot stopping, or what he lacks in shot stopping sometimes, because of how good he is at playing football and picking out what we saw. Like, we saw an example of Ederson at his worst and his best in that game. We saw him at his best with picking out the assist for Haaland. What an absolute screamer of a ball that was. That was a world-class pass from Ederson to pick out Haaland. There was no mistake. It was no fluke. He knew exactly what he was doing. Ederson has that in his locker. His left boot is one of the biggest, most powerful and accurate left boots I've ever seen. But when it comes to shot stopping, I regularly admit this, particularly on other shows when we have conversations and we compare keepers. Let's say, you know, the Ederson and Alisson debate, you know, 2 Brazilian goalkeepers, number 1 and 2 for Brazil, or 1 and the substitute goalkeeper for Brazil. I always say, if I had the option, I still would actually take Alisson. Why? Because I'm a firm believer in the fundamentals of goalkeeping, and the fundamentals of goalkeeping, the primary role of a goalkeeper is to be a shot stopper. You have to stop shots. You have to be able to save shots. And that goes back to the point. Ederson doesn't have to do that very often, but we're seeing sometimes, or occasionally, on maybe a monthly basis, Ederson will have 1 or 2 goals conceded where you say he really should have saved that. And Trossard's goal against us, great strike from Trossard. You know, fair play to him. He had the courage and confidence to hit the shot. But let's call a spade, people. Ederson should be saving that. Ederson should really be saving that shot. It's at his near post. He was close to his near post. His positioning was fine. It's just a matter of quick reactions, and Ederson didn't have that. But that's not to say Ederson's a bad shot stopper either. I'm just saying he has those one-off kind of moments every so often where you go, oh, you know, should have done better there. I mean, we were saying the exact same thing about Ederson after we lost to Real Madrid, after we got knocked out by Real Madrid in the semi-final. There was 1 or 2 Real Madrid goals where when you look back on them, maybe in real time you don't so much notice it. It's only when you look back on them, you go, he probably could have done better. I'm not saying he should save all these shots, and it's, you know, it should be as black and white as that, but could have done better. I think he has a weak hand sometimes as well, Ederson. I think doesn't have the strongest wrists, if you like. I don't know what it is, but I still wouldn't get rid of Ederson. I'm not sitting here saying for 1 second we need to get rid of Ederson. He's not good enough at shot stopping. We know what he gives to our team. We know what he contributes. Without Ederson's footballing ability and his brain and his vision, that amazing Haaland goal that Joe spoke about, where Haaland bullied, who was the defender? Was it Dunk? Webster, where he bullied Webster off the ball. We don't see that goal, so you don't get rid of Ederson. But to go back to the Ederson and Alisson debate, Alisson is the best in the world when it comes to shot stopping, it comes to one-on-ones, and he's not bad with the ball at his feet. Ederson's better with the ball at his feet than Alisson, I believe, because Alisson does have also his own one-off moments, but they happen for him when he's trying to play a pass out from the back. We've seen it even against us, where a leaky pass goes off, or his foot works wrong, and it results in a goal. So it's just about what way you want your goalkeeper to be. It's just about what way you want your goalkeeper to be, and I would want my goalkeeper to have more so Alisson's shot-stopping ability, but I also love Ederson's footballing ability. So listen, Nick Dahl, I wouldn't be hounding Ederson. I understand that it's frustrating when you see him concede those goals, but you have to weigh up the pros and the cons. You know, weigh up what comes with Ederson and weigh up what's annoying about Ederson. And I think you will always take the good parts of Ederson. So, you know what, for that, Ederson, I'm sure himself will admit he should have saved it, but you know what, it is what it is. That's football, people. It's not always going to be absolutely perfect. I know we feel like we're perfect a huge amount of the time, but they are human beings. They do make mistakes, and you can only hope that they don't happen very often for Ederson. He's still a top goalkeeper. But we may as well talk about Erling Haaland. Obviously, if we're being real, people, Erling Haaland was robbed of man of the match against Brighton. Kevin De Bruyne is getting man of the matches on a weekly basis, based on his name, if you ask me. I love Kevin De Bruyne. He's a legend. I love the guy to bits. He's one of my footballing heroes. Joined the club when I was like 14, 15, and he's still here today. I love the guy. But in terms of man of the match awards, he's picking up. He got one against Copenhagen too. He probably didn't deserve. He got a couple in the Premier League. He probably didn't deserve. His goal, absolutely phenomenal. But Haaland, man, Haaland. We said before in the preview that we thought we expected him to be frustrated with his lack of goals. Obviously, didn't play against Copenhagen. Fine, had a week off. Played against Liverpool. We expected a big performance against Liverpool. We expected at least a goal. You know, this was a big opportunity for him to, you know, make another statement, make another stamp in the Premier League and say, listen, this Anfield shit doesn't bother me. I'm going to score goals. But he didn't, and that's fine. We understand that happens as well too. But we were expecting a reaction against Brighton, and I think that goal from the Ederson assist is a perfect example of the reaction we were expecting. That was just pure aggression and determination from Erling Haaland. You know what it is? It's like watching... It's like when I don't know what way you guys in your countries talk about school, but let's say, I don't know, a year 8 versus a year 11. Yeah, Haaland is the year 11 and Webster is the year 8. There's no integrity in the physical competition. Haaland batters every single time, and the strength and determination and just sheer grit he showed to bully Webster off the ball and have the composure to pass it into the back of the net all at once in such quick succession. It's freakish. It is freakish. It's a cheat code, and Joe spoke about it as well a second ago. It's not something we see from City very often, but he was brought in to give us these different dynamics. When I first spoke about Haaland coming to City, I kept using the word dynamic because Haaland was going to offer us a completely different array of dynamics that we've ever had before. And that Route 1 football that we saw on that goal is the dynamic I'm talking about. It's there. It's in our locker as a team now between Haaland and Ederson, or a centre-half and Haaland. Play a long ball over the top. Let Haaland have a physical one-on-one battle with a centre-half or a full-back and see what comes of it, because we know Haaland can do it. We've seen him do it for Dortmund, and now we've seen him do it for City. A lot of Haaland's goals, granted, for City have been, right place, right time, and that's because of his football, his ability to read the game. He knows where to be at the right time. Clinical strikers do that. And he scored, obviously, a couple of top goals. But this was a new type of goal we've seen now from Erling Haaland that we haven't seen him do at City before, where he just used his sheer athleticism and strength and composure and determination. I don't know how many more adjectives I can use to describe it. It was an insane goal. And then, of course, the penalty as well. You're right. There was definitely a massive conversation, I reckon, about the penalty taking situation internally. I reckon within the squad and the dressing room, I don't know, they probably had a meeting, because football at the highest level, people, you can't have a penalty taker who's not confident. You just can't. And you can't have a penalty taker where you're saying it's 50-50 as to whether they score this. We know Mahrez is not playing with a huge amount of confidence right now. I definitely believe Joe's right. There's a huge amount of truth to Ederson, or Haaland, sorry, being like, I'm the guy now, they're my penalties. But for Pep to sanction that, and Mahrez to agree to it as well, there must have been some sort of a conversation. Mahrez must have said, yeah, listen, I'm probably not in the right mind frame right now to be taking these penalties, especially while we know Haaland is going to bang them. Joe said it, you don't save that penalty. You don't save that penalty. I'd love to know if anybody could find the stat, or they've seen a stat for how fast the ball moved when he kicked it. You know, the way those stats sometimes come out, what kilometers per hour or miles per hour the ball traveled, because it was a fucking rocket, people. It was a fucking rocket. You don't save them. So for Haaland, it was just a typical Haaland game for City. I think Joe wasn't hugely involved in the play, but everything he had to do and what you expect him to do, he did. He scored his penalty and he bullied Webster to score that goal. I mean, what more can you say?
Yeah, I mean, he's sort of getting a bit more involved, or he has been getting a bit more involved in the play over recent games. You look at United, that was sort of the first one where you saw him drop a couple of times. That was a tactical decision. Liverpool, he tried to get involved a bit more as well. But, I mean, against Brighton, he just went back to basics, just hanging off the last defender. I think it was Akanji who said that they trained for this, they prepared for this. They knew Brighton were going to try and go man for man and leave everybody one-on-one, and leaving Haaland one-on-one it's dangerous. It's dangerous. It's not going to work. You leave him one-on-one, he's going to score. We've said this before. We've said this before. You either stop the team or you stop the man. They went to try and stop the team and they couldn't stop the man. That's exactly how it panned out. And this is something that you've just got to get used to. If you try and go man for man, yeah, you might cut off his supply. But he's getting to the stage now where we've seen it a couple of times. He can literally just create one for himself. He doesn't have to solely rely on the service. He can create one for himself. You saw against Wolves, that goal he scored on his weak foot. He just picks it up and drives with it and then just hits it. The one against Palace, I know it was probably one of the closer ones that we've seen to the one like his first, where he's holding off two defenders and he just slots it. He holds off two defenders and he just slots it. Like this one, he's gone past the keeper's missed it, and he just shrugs off the defender like he's not there, and then just puts it into an empty goal. Like, he does it. This narrative of, yeah, Haaland's great and all, he's scoring all these goals, but what would have happened if he didn't have this service? It's not like he hasn't scored a goal that he has created. He doesn't always need service. He is a capable footballer. It's not like he has the inability to kick the ball unless it's going in the back of the net. That is reserved for Darwin Núñez. That is his role, to be clunky and fumble about with it and be able to just tap it in if the opportunity arises. Haaland can do everything. He's not great at playing the ball. We know that he's not great. That's probably his weakness. But it's not completely inept. It's not, it's not completely invisible. It's not like he doesn't have that part. He will obviously get better at it. But that's the thing. Like, he can, depending on what Pep wants from him, he can get more involved, or he could play like he did against Brighton and just hang off the last man and go, here, if they're going to go one-on-one, just get me the ball and I'll go put it in the net. Like, it's that easy. That's what, if they're going to play that risky game of try and cut off his supply, then go and route one from the keeper. It's not a bad option. It's the first time I think we've seen Ederson just ping it to Haaland. It's the first time it's worked anyway. And you're right about the dynamics. The word when we finally got him was, he's going to bring so much more. We're going to be able to counter-attack. We're going to be able to play route one. We're going to be able to put crosses in the box and, have that sort of threat. There were so many different ways that we could attack with this man up front. And it's becoming, I know Liverpool did stop him from scoring and we did lose that game, but that was more on Pep. That was more on Pep fucking about with the tactics. Like, that wasn't anything else, really. I truly still believe that if he went with Jack Grealish and went with the system that we've been playing for the entire season, we win that game. We win that game. Whenever we go with, what would be considered our full-strength team, or at least our full-strength system, we're winning games. He's scoring goals. The one time that hasn't worked was Bournemouth. He still got an assist. Like, he's unstoppable. Like, you can't stop him. Only we can stop it. Well, Pep can stop him. He can pull a madness out and do what he does in the big games. But apart from that, like, we've seen Brighton now try and go man for man. That hasn't worked. We saw Bournemouth try and go three men on him. That didn't work. Everybody else ended up getting involved. there is no real way to stop this guy. You just got to hope that he either doesn't play or has an off day, or Pep does something with the tactics and puts players around him that aren't working together. Otherwise, you just got to accept that he's probably going to score.
It's a pretty cruel ultimate inevitability, if you like, that unless everything goes your way as Haaland's opposition or as Manchester City's opposition, like it did for Liverpool. Pep fucked around. Haaland probably was slightly below par. There's a high possibility, or you're more than likely not going to stop him scoring. I mean, people are talking about it in the chat here. What are they saying? You can't say anything about Haaland. He's got the lot. Haaland makes it look like he's everyone's big brother playing with under 10s. It is a cheat code, Erling Haaland. I mean, what he brings to our team, like I said, all these dynamics, the Route 1 football. I'd like to see that more, especially like in those high pressure moments in knockout football, maybe in the cup competitions, the Champions League. We could have done with when we were losing to Real Madrid and other notable games that we lost, having that option of just lobbing the ball up over and behind a high line defense and leaving Haaland to have that duel, have that one-on-one battle with a centre half, because for one, I back Haaland to win that one-on-one battle pretty well every single time, unless something's horribly wrong or he's not feeling it or he's not playing or he's having an off day, like Joe said. Haaland's going to beat most centre halves in the world for strength, if not all of them, and that's just fact of the matter. Webster is no bitch, people. Webster is no pushover. I know he plays for Brighton, but he's a big, strong lad. He's known for his physicality. He's an aerial threat in both boxes. And Haaland made him look like a boy. Haaland was like, "Nah, little bro, this is my goal. You're just gonna have to hold that," and that's the outcome.
It's everything, though, isn't it? It's the whole package, isn't it? It's the size, the strength, the speed, the determination. He wants to win. He wants to get to every ball. He wants to get on the end of absolutely everything. And he has all the capabilities. He has all the physicals, speed, strength. I mean, he jumps incredibly high I don't know whether you pay attention. He jumps incredibly high when he celebrates. Like, he doesn't even put any effort. He launches himself.
I was just thinking that today, Joe. I was just thinking that today. When I watched him celebrate both his goals against Brighton, he jumped to do his usual kind of fist pump in the air sort of thing. The guy jumps like an NBA player when he's celebrating his goals. I'm thinking, how is he getting that high off the ground to celebrate a goal? I couldn't get that high off the ground if I needed to save my life. It's outrageous, the physical capacity of Erling Haaland. What he can do with his body is insane. Like, we joke around about him being made in a lab and being a government experiment. He's like, I don't know what he is. He's like if there's an option on FIFA when you're making your own pro player to just advance and boost up all of his physical attributes at once, because Haaland has the whole lot. And coming with age and learning and playing under Pep, his first touch on his overall play is only going to improve. It's not that it's bad, but it's only going to get better as well. But in terms of physical package, Haaland has the whole lot. He has every single thing you want in a striker, and it's freakishly unfair. Yeah, Dennis says 99 jumping. If that was a thing, I don't know. I don't play FIFA anymore, people. I don't know what the attributes are you can give your players anymore. But if jumping is one, Haaland is maxed out. He's put all his coins into jumping and physical strength and athleticism. Like, he could be an athlete, Haaland. He could be a sprinter. He could be a long jumper or a high jumper. It's absolutely insane what that guy can do. But listen, for me, I think for us anyway, you probably agree with me, he's man of the match against Brighton. It's hard to not give Haaland man of the match after he scores 2 goals, and particularly the one with Ederson and Haaland. It's like I said, it's unlocked a new avenue for us, something we haven't seen City do for years. I think we saw Ederson give Sterling maybe a very similar assist a couple of years ago, and that was it really. But this is something that I think Pep should look to more often now, is if we're under the cosh, we're under pressure, and we're in need of a goal, lob the ball over behind their high line. Most defenses nowadays are, in the modern day defending seems to be high line, particularly the attacking teams like Brighton and Newcastle and Liverpool. They like to play a high line. Granted, a few clubs will, like Spurs and Chelsea, they like to do a low block and sit deep. But in those games where the opposition is playing a high line, a lot of them in Europe as well play a high line, lob the ball, just fuck the ball up in behind them, and let Haaland throw his weight around, let him be strong. It was excellent. It was absolutely excellent from Erling Haaland. Hugh Ederson gave one against Tottenham as well for, yes, the Gundogan goal. Do you remember that one where Joe, where
Sanchez.
Sanchez?
I still have that picture saved. I will never, ever, ever get rid of it. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen on a football pitch. I was just thinking there as well when you said Sterling. I was trying to remember. I think it was Champions League knockout stage. It must have been about 4 years ago against Schalke away. We had a man sent off and he just lumps it to Sterling, and we go on and we win that leg of the. I know we went on and we scored like 6 or 7 past him in the second leg, but that game was wild. But it's it's something that there's another one that I remember as well. I think it was Aguero against Huddersfield, where he just launches it to Aguero against Huddersfield. I can't remember much else about it because it was so long ago, but he doesn't do it often, but like he definitely should do it more now. Like we've got this 6'5", 99 jumping, 99 strength, 99 speed demon just sat there waiting to pounce. Like there's not many centre halves who can match him for all three. Yeah, you might have your Van Dijk who's strong, and you might have your, I don't know, I can't think of, I was about to say Maguire, but he is shit. Who's good at jump? I don't know. Anyway, you can have centre half.
The Butcher.
The Butcher, yeah. He's pretty quick, but he's 5'9". You can have a centre half that's strong. You can have a centre half that's quick. You can have a centre half who can jump really high. You can have a centre half that has two of those. You're not going to get one that has all three. There aren't many of them in the world, so just lump it and hope. If you're ever stuck for a goal, we have this thing where we enter panic stations in the last 20 if it's close, where De Bruyne just starts whipping in cross after cross after cross. Just kick it to Ederson and just lump it. That's probably a better option.
Absolutely, absolutely. But the difference is between those goals that say Aguero scored from the long range pass from Ederson, or Sterling scored. I think Sané might have got one at one point as well. I could be wrong on that. But the difference is when they happen, you're hoping that the defender will just, wrong foot himself, or he'll misjudge the flight of the ball. But with Haaland, it's a physical duel. It's a physical battle. It's a 1 versus 1. Just lob it at Haaland and the centre half and say, right, which one of you is coming out on top? The defender, what's he going to do? Is he going to try and beat Haaland physically, or is he going to give Haaland a yard and let Haaland get the first touch? How do you go about it? It's a real conundrum. It's a real issue for teams. And someone who's it that makes the point here, the Mad Hatter, I agree, Hugh, but likely Pep wouldn't like him doing it because it goes against his philosophy. That is true. That is true, Mad Hatter, that it's not probably the football Pep wants to play. But you know what? Desperate times, I'm basically talking about using this tool in our box when you're under pressure, you're in desperate need of a goal, dying moments of the game. I'm just saying it's nice to know that we can, and that I think all of us in the chat here would agree that you would back Haaland to win the duel. Listen, there's 45 people in the building right now. We're only on 35 likes, so 10 of you haven't hit the like button. Smash the like button if you would. It massively, massively helps the channel. We're on the road to 5k now. Like I said, we've just smashed 4k. Would love to hit 5k as soon as possible. It'll be a great milestone. It'll be a great landmark to hit as a community. Us and you in the chat. It's an 1894 community we have here. You're a part of it. We're a part of it, and we enjoy doing it. I'm dying now. And we enjoy doing it together. So just hit the like button and subscribe, of course, if you're new. Dennis says Saliba. Yes, Saliba versus Haaland will be a good one. I mean, Saliba has pretty well hit the ground running at Arsenal, hasn't he? He's been essentially the defensive version of Haaland this season. He's been pretty well impeccable for Arsenal. He's really rejuvenated their defense. He's that rock in their defense. He's their Vincent Kompany. He's their Ruben Diaz. He's whatever way you want to look at it. He's giving them that confidence and that stability at the back that you need in a defence. I always found with Arsenal's back four, you never really looked at them and said, yeah, they're solid. You can trust that guy to lead them, be the man leader, whatever way you want to look at it. You can trust them to be
disrespectful to Rob Holding that.
Sorry. Listen, Rob Holding, if you're watching this, it's nothing personal against you. I just think Saliba's a little bit better. But it'll be an interesting battle, Saliba versus Haaland. And listen, before we move on from the City game, I want to talk about Arsenal and Southampton. I watched that game earlier today. I want to touch on just really quickly, because some people in the chat are talking about VAR and the Bernardo penalty. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, we should have got a penalty for something that we didn't. And then Bernardo obviously wins the penalty that Haaland went on to score. It wasn't a penalty, people. It wasn't a penalty. If we're being fully honest and taking our City caps off for a second, I think Bernardo left his leg trailing. He was playing for the penalty. And you can argue, you can say that's great. That's just the way modern football is. It's gamesmanship. You get, you milk what you can out of the game. But call a spade, Joe. I don't think it was a penalty, and Brighton might feel slightly hard done by.
Yeah, I touched on this in my brief, but not very brief, game summary, where I rambled on, where it's not a penalty. Like, he's left his leg out. I get he's got a little push in the back and he's left his leg trailing and he's got the penalty and we've scored it. Fair enough. The game is unfortunately the game that happens. It happens all across the league. It happens all across the country. It happens all across Europe. Let's not get this wrong. This happens most weekends. This happens most days. Like, it just happens. And it's not our fault it was given. Like, if we have any competent referees that could... I don't know, maybe they need to go Specsavers or Vision Express or something and get themselves checked out. But It's not a penalty. However, again, we should have had one anyway. Again, I think it was one or two attacks before we actually scored with the long ball. Haaland gets cropped by the Brighton goalkeeper, Sanchez. He just crops him. You know, he takes his ankle out, doesn't get anywhere near the ball. They check it and they don't give it. Like, that was a nailed-on penalty. Everybody was... Like, even all the City journalists were like, yeah, they're going to check that and give that. And it's like, when they didn't give it, everyone was like, no penalty? Are we sure that's not a penalty? Like, it's so weird. I don't understand. Again, it just comes down to the general consistency of Premier League officiating. We know that it's probably some of the most inconsistent officiating you've ever seen. I mean, we wonder why we get no refs that go to international tournaments. This is exactly why, because they don't even know the lefts from the rights half the time. Like, they don't have a clue. It's, again, I said, you can have stuff given for minimal contact, and then when someone gets cropped, it doesn't get given. Like, it makes no sense. I don't try and understand what goes through their heads when they make this decision, because it, quite frankly, makes my head hurt, because I don't know how someone can be that out of touch. Are these referees football fans? Do they understand football? Or are they just given the rule book and told, this is this is that, make your own minds up about these things? Do they know, like, have they ever played a game of football? Like, I'm so confused half the time. These referees genuinely must have no interest in football, but they see that there's a referee job open and they can read a rule book and make their own mind up and get paid for it. Because I don't know what else is going on. If you don't even have to have played at a high level sometimes. You just have to have played Sunday League sometimes to understand what is and isn't a foul. You know, if someone's making a meal or something, whether it's a dive or it's a proper handball or whatever, you just need to have played a couple of games of Sunday League. But I don't understand what's going on. And yeah, I'm not too annoyed about it on our end, because it hasn't made any sort of difference on the result whatsoever, because we've gone on and we've won the game, and I think we would have won the game regardless of those decisions going either way. But I can see the frustration from Arsenal's part. Now, I didn't watch the game, but I've seen a lot of people be very, very annoyed. I've seen a lot of AFTV fan cams be very, very annoyed at the refereeing. The VAR decisions, I've seen screenshots of people having basically bear hugging Gabriel Jesus. Like, at the end of the day, you just get used to the inconsistency, because if you waste a load of time complaining every week, you're just wasting your breath at that point, because they don't listen, they don't care. They can come out on their ref watch on Sky and say, well, I think the referee just made a slight error in his judgment, or they'll do the complete opposite. They'll do a Peter Drury and they'll back the official even though the decision is just completely wrong, where they'll just agree with the official and just protect their mates, essentially. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't really care anymore. I'm past caring. We've had our fair share of being absolutely robbed in big games due to big decisions not going our way, obvious decisions not going our way. So I'm just past it at this point. I don't care. Maybe there is a conversation to not completely remove it, because I do think there is a place, especially for the whole offside things. Now, obviously, there's the big thing on whether the offside rule should be changed, but the way they do offsides in the Champions League now, with the whole fully automated thing with the ball having a sensor in it, and you know, it's done in seconds and you see the graphic, and you know, I think that has a place in football, but I think maybe we just need to ditch the whole checking red cards and penalties and handballs and all this stuff and just leave that to the on-pitch official. Because let's be honest, we hear this narrative all the time that VAR is not supposed to referee a game. It's not brought in to referee a game, but it is refereeing the game. The on-pitch referee is useless. They don't do anything. The VAR does their job for them.
I was about to say that. I mean, the standard of officiating in Europe is much, much higher than it is in England. And you said it yourself, it's no surprise that we don't get, or English referees don't get invited to officiate World Cups and Euros championships very often, because they're cowards, man. They're cowards. They, like you said there, they're basically non-existent. They're afraid, they don't have the bollocks to make calls themselves in the pitch, because they know VAR is going to cover their arse, or at least they'll say, I couldn't make up my own mind, so I referred it to VAR. They don't have the bollocks to make their own on-field decision and say, no, I'm sticking with that. They want to check the monitor, they want the VAR Stockley Park to come in their ear, and it's a whole fiasco. And it's also taking too much time up out of the game. It's turning into like an NFL, where every time there's a decision that the referee's not happy with, or there's a bit of confusion, you have to wait for 3, 4, 5 minutes until there's an obvious conclusion, or at least some sort of decisive outcome. It's very frustrating, and I understand. I'm not saying there's nothing biased here or that we've been fucked over. We've been fucked over a few times, but I also understand every club has. I mean, you're right. Jesus was bear hugged today a few times by Southampton defenders, and every club has been shafted on a number of occasions by VAR. It needs tweaking, people. VAR needs to be VAR'd, says the Mad Hatter. It's just one of those things that it's going to frustrate the life out of football fans as long as it's in its current existence, the way it operates right now. I'm reading through some of your messages here. There was one here I wanted to read out. Don't let Grizz get away with the chest he showed after they beat us 1-0. Let him know football's a humbler since they can't even beat Forest, says Erling Season. Listen, Erling Season, if I was on the Big Six tomorrow, I can assure you I would let Grizz know my thoughts on football being a humbler. He gave it to me last week. He gave it to me. He cooked me. He gave it to me in the neck, and he made sure that I understood what the game meant and where I went wrong in my build-up and my preview. But unfortunately, I'm not on the Big Six tomorrow. As I explained, I will be in Dortmund. I'm traveling to Germany for Dortmund away on Tuesday night, so I don't know who's taking my place. I assume Daps. And whoever does take my place, I'm sure they will do a good job at letting Grizz know, at letting Matisse and Saeed know, at letting Tobes know, at letting Turkish know that City is the only team that picked up a W this weekend, and they've all dropped points. And I don't think any of them played particularly well. I don't think Arsenal played well against Southampton. I don't think Chelsea. I think Chelsea and United, I want to talk about that game a little bit as well, was a bore fest. I thought there was an absolutely atrocious game. The last 10 minutes saved it because of the penalty controversy and United getting the last minute goal. Absolutely crap game. Tottenham, I watched them against Newcastle today. They were brutal. They were absolutely brutal, and their fans are already divided over whether Conte should stay or go. Like, it's a bit of a shit show, but as City fans, we can kind of just sit back like this and just laugh. We can kind of just laugh and just say this is hilarious because we're doing great and life's good for us. But you know what? We'll see who's in the Big Six tomorrow. I genuinely don't know, people. I genuinely don't know. The foul on Jesus should have been given because they gave the one yesterday for McTominay, foul on Broja, which was very similar. It's lack of consistency. It's lack of consistency, D1. You know, you're seeing fouls one week that aren't given, and then the next week they are given, and you're comparing foul to foul, game to game, and referee to referee. That's all we want. I'm not saying that we want rules that all of us agree with and it has to be in black and white and we want it all just to make sense and this is the rule book you live by. The bare minimum that we deserve and we should expect is just consistency. It's just consistency. So you know that looks like a foul. It's going to be a foul. We've seen that be a foul before. It's going to be a foul now. Rather than us sitting here having this chat right now saying, well, it wasn't a foul this week, but it was a foul last week. Make it make sense. The maths ain't mathsing. The maths ain't maffing. Whatever way you want to call it, it's not working right now. Big Steve would terrorize him. Lamau. Yeah, Big Steve, I'm sure would be all guns blazing tomorrow if he was in the Big Six. He's obviously the best. He's the king of kings when it comes to cooking other people on that show. So, but I know he's coming to Dortmund as well, so he won't be available for that Big Six. I think I might meet Steve. He was saying he might give me a text and see what's happening when we're in Dortmund. It should be a great time, man. There's 3,000-4,000 City fans going out to Dortmund tomorrow for the game on Tuesday. Big piss up. Bit of a sing-song. Hopefully see Haaland score in his old stadium. Have a bit of a laugh. It should be a good one, man. I know the City Extra lads are going as well. It's gonna be a great experience. It's my first European away trip as well, so I'm looking forward to it. But I apologise if any of you were expecting and looking forward to being in the Big Six tomorrow. Like I said, I got a lot of mentions and ats and DMs about it. I'm not going to be there. I do apologise. Stacey, enjoy your time in Dortmund, Hugh. Thank you so much, Stacey. I really appreciate that. I'm really, really looking forward to it. Genuinely, I'm very excited. And whenever I go to City games as well, when I fly from Dublin to Manchester for the home games, I always have to get like a 6:30 in the morning flight or a 10:30 flight if I'm lucky. I'm not a morning person, people. I don't do well in the morning. I really fucking hate the mornings. So tomorrow to fly to Dortmund, my flight's at 5:30 in the evening. That is a nice luxury for me, if you ask me. I'll get a bit of a lie on, bit of breakfast, bit of lunch, head out to Dublin Airport, meet the lads, and we'll head off to Germany. I'm really looking forward to it. Toby's alarm will fail tomorrow. No, Toby should be there. I don't think Toby's going to miss tomorrow. I don't know what the plan is. Early season, let's hope Steve lets him have it after the stick he gave you, mate. Steve is a menace. It's true, man. Steve would be the perfect man for tomorrow night. I know I do my best, or like I cook when I feel I can cook, or when I back what I'm saying, or I feel someone's saying something wrong, I'll say what I think. But there's nobody has one-liners, and you know the energy that Steve does to cook. He's the best at it. That will be a good one. 3 or 4K Blues out in Dortmund. City are massive. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've sold out the away end, which was about 3,000 or 4,000. Someone might have to fact check that for me. So Daps will step up. I assume it's Daps. And if it is Daps, all of you blues in the chat, show support to Daps. Obviously, he was on the channel with us last week. Absolutely fantastic show. Got great love from all of you. If it is Daps tomorrow, make sure you're in the Big Six chat, showing love to Daps, backing him up, letting the rest of the 5 lads know that their teams are shit. Wait, isn't Daps going to Dortmund as well? I don't know. Grizz has so much chest about Salah being world class over 1 goal against us. Listen, we may as well jump into Liverpool, Nottingham Forest. I don't want to stream all night, people. Like I said, I've got a day of traveling to do. We'll stream for another while. We'll talk about some of the games, the big moments, and what it means for us. Listen, Joe, Liverpool 0, Nottingham Forest 19th place, Nottingham Forest 1. Absolute shocker for Liverpool. Like, what on earth is all that shit talk, all that Salah is world class, all that you got spooked by Anfield and the big dogs are back, or our season's about to get back on track. This is where the season starts now. Top 4 race, maybe a title charge. I don't know what they're saying, but they're gassing themselves up. All of that bullshit just to be beaten by Steve Cooper, Jesse Lingard and Nottingham Forest. I don't even know if Lingard played, but any team that Jesse Lingard plays for should not be beating a recent European champions. It's absolutely hilarious, really. I find that, like, I wouldn't laugh at it so much if they hadn't beaten us. And the way the Liverpool fans slagged me off, the way the Liverpool fans slagged City off, and the whole Anfield respect thing. Salah world class. Salah got his hat trick against Rangers and he scored against City. Well, he couldn't do it in Nottingham. So he can't be that fucking world class. Listen, Liverpool, if they had any minute hope of a title charge, Steve Cooper has just ruined it. Steve Cooper has just put the final nail in the coffin. Liverpool now need to turn their focus firmly to get into the top 4, and even that is going to be a struggle. With the inconsistency of Liverpool's performances, it's going to be a slog for them to get top 4. You have Chelsea and United, who look fairly consistent. I know both of them could drop points on their days, but they look like they have their shit together more than Liverpool. Obviously, then you have Arsenal, who I think are pretty well almost nailed on, I think you could say, at this point to get top 4. And then you have Tottenham, who are going through their problems right now. Maybe you could put them in the same category as Liverpool. A lot of competition for top 4, people. A lot of competition for top 4. Are Liverpool guaranteed to get there? Absolutely not. Just because you beat City 1-0 at Anfield, allegedly blowing us off the park, which I don't believe is true at all, it doesn't guarantee you any trophies. It doesn't guarantee you top 4. You gotta go beat fucking Nottingham, and you couldn't fucking do that. Come on, man. It's too funny, honestly. It's too funny. And obviously, I fully understood and I accept the fact that they're probably better than us and deserve to beat us on the day. But cream rises to the top, people. Cream rises to the top, and Manchester City will rise to the top, because we don't collapse the way Liverpool have collapsed. I kept asking Grizz on a weekly basis, are you in crisis mode? Are you in crisis mode? He goes, nah. When the players come back from injury, we'll get our shit together. When Klopp gets this player back and he wants that player back, we'll get our shit together. The shit's not together. The shit's not together. They are in crisis mode. It is crisis. I've seen them linked with loads of players now for January because they're panicking. They need to get this player for that position, that player for that position. When your best player, or arguably your best player on the pitch against us last week, is 37-year-old James Milner. There is a crisis, people. There is a fucking crisis, okay? Deal with it. Top 4 for Liverpool. I know at the start of the season, the Big Six, we did our prediction table for where we think every team's going to finish in the league. I think I predicted Liverpool 3rd. I'm going to go out on a limb here now. It's nearly November, and what I've seen of Liverpool, I don't think they're getting top 4. I think it'll be City, Arsenal, Chelsea, and either United or Tottenham. And I hate to say that because I prefer Liverpool to get up to Man United. I want United to stay away from the Champions League for as long as possible, because that's also fucking hilarious. I just don't see Liverpool doing it for some reason, and this may come back to bite them in the arse. They could come back and beat us in the Etihad. I don't think they will, but they could come back and beat us in the Etihad in a few months' time and go, oh, you gassed City up and you said Liverpool wouldn't get their shit together. I don't know, man. Joe, it's a mess over Liverpool Football Club. You can't be losing to Nottingham Forest if you have aspirations. And not scoring either. World-class Salah didn't score against Nottingham Forest. Whatever about his defenders letting him down, or Forest getting a bit of luck going forward and nicking a goal or two. A world-class attacker who didn't have Núñez beside him. I always feel Salah's more likely to flourish without Núñez there. No Núñez. This game was written in the stars for Salah to have a world-class game. He should have gone out and scored a number of goals. He should have dominated that game, but from what I saw, he was non-existent. Is he world-class right now? He's absolutely not world-class. He's been missing since last January. He turned up at Ibrox last week, scored a hat-trick. Well done, mate. He scored against us. Well done, mate. And then goes missing in the City ground. Mess. Crisis mode activated. Joe, I'm rambling on. Take over.
This is beautiful. I just sat here and listened to you ramble on for the last 5 minutes. This is like some sort of therapy. This is great. I love it.
Because if you see my DMs, I know people. I don't speak about Liverpool too often on these streams, and all you see basically about my interaction with Liverpool is what I say to Grizz and the Big Six. My DMs, my ats, my mentions. After all the previews I did for last week's game, all the gas I gave it, then we lost. Fair enough, we lost. Fair and square. That's fine. After the game, people, my DMs were absolutely volatile. Volatile, yeah? You idiot. Should respect Anfield more. Do you know what ground you just played in? Respect Salah, he's world class. Haaland could never. Shut the fuck up, mate. Shut up. I'm not having it. I'm not having it. You know, they won one Premier League in, 32, 33 odd years, and they think they can just bang on about how special and amazing Anfield is to get them over the line. The walls are falling in, people. The walls are falling in on top of Jurgen Klopp, and he's going to look stressed. I don't know who they play next. Do they have Chelsea coming up, or they have a big game coming up? It's going to be interesting. Anyway, sorry, I'm still rambling. Go on.
I've leaned my chair back. I'm just chilling. I love this. I love that. You can keep going if you want, but literally, I mean,
I'll say one more thing. There's 50 people in the building. Hit the like button if you would, please. Just hit the like button and subscribe if you're new. Anyway, proceed. I
will proceed because I got the league table up in front of me because I had to just make sure I got it right. Essentially, you did get it wrong. They're not 19th place. They're 20th. They lost to bottom of the league, Nottingham Forest.
Oh my God.
It's not. I mean, it makes our loss at Anfield look worse because when you think about it, we just lost to a team that lost the bottom of the league. Like, it's not great. Although, again, I could have seen that Liverpool loss coming from a mile away. I hope different, but that happened. I don't care anymore. It's over. Liverpool are an absolute shambles. Mo Salah, world-class Mo Salah, can go and score a hat-trick in the Champions League against Rangers, but cannot score in his most favourable role. There was no one in the middle. He was playing central. He was playing inside right. He was playing where he wants to be, and he still can't score against Nottingham Forest. Haaland scored a first-half hat-trick against Forest. What? Nah, I'm sorry, right? Like, that can't be allowed to happen. That simply cannot be allowed to happen.
Diaz scored against Nottingham Forest. Yeah, our centre-half scored against Nottingham Forest. And world-class Salah. Salah Bamayang, they should call him. Mohamed Salah Bamayang. He got his big contract. He doesn't give a fuck anymore. He's not playing like a 350 grand a week player. I'm sorry, people. He's not world-class. The Liverpool fans need to accept this guy has fallen off a cliff.
He has, and he's been off said cliff for 10 months since January, since the turn of the new year. He's been awful. He's been absolutely awful. I don't know how he finished as high as he did in the Ballon d'Or. I don't know how people still give him leeway. I don't know. Now, this is a straight send for Mr. John Costa. I don't know how people have still got him in their fantasy Premier League team, because, my God, you are wasting your budget on that guy to score. I don't know why you still have him. I binned my Liverpool players ages ago because they are the most inconsistent bunch of players going right now. They can turn up and beat us but lose to Forest. They can turn up and beat what is the current Premier League champions, soon to probably be repeat Premier League champions, but cannot be bottom of the league, who are probably going to get relegated. Like, they are the most I think I used this word, they're a bipolar football club going. They don't know what on earth is going on. I said a similar thing. I don't know whether it was on the stream or just to my dad, that United are the same. They can turn up like they did against Arsenal, go and put in a performance and win, or they could turn up like they did against us and Brentford and be 4-0 down at half time. Like, that's the same thing with Liverpool. You don't know what they're going to do. The wheels are still falling off. They are crumbling. They are falling apart at the seams. No one knows what's going on with Klopp. I mean, you touch on their January business. What money have they got to spend? What money is Klopp going to be given in January?
Money, mate. Coutinho. Yeah. Hold on a sec. They're still minted from Coutinho, obviously.
I hold my hands up. I forgot about the Coutinho money. I did forget. Like, I don't know where all this talk is about January signings, and like, you have no money. You signed Artemelo on loan because you didn't have the funds to go and secure a midfielder on a permanent basis. Where is this January money coming from? They are, let me check my notes again. Let me check my Premier League. They are 8th, right? They are 5 points away from the top 4, and we are a third of the way into the Premier League season, pretty much. Give or take, obviously, because it's 38, doesn't go in 3. You know what I mean? We're about a third into the season. They are 5 points adrift. They are battling with, this is probably one of the most close, this is probably going to be one of the closest top 4 races that we should be seeing in a long time, because you've got City and Arsenal. Obviously, Arsenal top of the league. You imagine they'll fall off. They'll fall into a top 4 race. They might keep up with us for a little bit. Spurs were a team where at the start of the season everyone was going, City, Liverpool, Spurs. Those are the 3. Spurs look really good under Conte. Liverpool or Liverpool, City or City. Those are the 3 for the title. So Spurs are there. Chelsea under Potter. I don't think they've lost under Potter. Obviously, underwhelming. We might touch on the Chelsea United game, although it was absolutely dreadful. They still haven't lost under Potter. They're going well. United, again, they're a little bit up and down. You don't know whether they're going to get battered 4-0 or go and put in a performance and, win or get a scrappy win against a good team. And then you got Newcastle. People are forgetting about Newcastle. They've just gone and beaten Spurs away from home. They got a draw against us. They almost got a draw at Anfield. They are an extremely well-run football club at this moment. They have a good manager. They have great players. They are beating teams who, on paper, you'd say are better than Newcastle, but they're still going out and winning games. They are currently in a top 4 position themselves. I don't see them being there forever. I do see them falling off because I think the depth just still isn't there. I still think they lack a bit of quality in certain positions. I think Almiron's going through his purple patch. It's quite funny with the Albion Grealish thing because it keeps popping up, but Almiron will probably fall off. He won't be scoring every single game till the end of time. That won't happen. And we forget, this is all without their record signing. Alexander Isak is still injured. He's still yet to properly come into that Newcastle team. So they are a scary side. So Liverpool really need to watch themselves. Like, I've said this before multiple times on streams. If they do not get in the top 4, they can count themselves completely out of a Jude Bellingham race. That's done. That's finished. If they don't end up in the Champions League, he will go to a Champions League club. He knows his level. He's like Haaland. He knows his level. He's not going to go to a team just because if he goes there, they might end up back in the Champions League and, they might be good in a few years. Haaland came to us because we were winning and we were winning now. And that's what he wants to do. I think Bellingham's the same. He knows that his next club is probably going to be a long-term thing. He's probably going to be there for quite a significant period of time. He's not going to view it as a stepping stone. Why would he go to Liverpool? Who knows what's going to happen? I mean, who knows what's going to happen with Klopp? He just signed that new extension of his own. They're not going to sack him because they'd be stupid to sack him. Is he going to walk? I doubt it. Can he turn it around? Well, if he keeps playing his favourites, then no, of course he can't turn it around. That's his problem. He doesn't want to change what he's doing. He can't face dropping Mohamed Salah, even though he's probably costing him. He cannot face the fact that Trent cannot defend. He cannot face the fact that Jordan Henderson cannot pass a football 5 yards. Like, he just can't come to terms with the fact that these players that have essentially been mainstays in his team, in title-winning team, Champions League-winning team, he can't hack that they can't do what they used to be able to do. He just doesn't understand that they can't do that. He doesn't want to change it. The wheels are falling off, and I don't know. It's not even a when. I don't know if they're going to turn it around. Like, a few weeks ago, maybe I would have said they're probably going to turn it around at some point because that squad has too much quality in the manager. He is a good manager. And, they'll turn it around eventually. I don't know when. Now I'm genuinely wondering if they're going to get top 4. Are they genuinely going to finish in a Champions League spot? Are they going to be without Champions League football after years of saying they have the best in each and every single position, the stadium, the fans, the manager in the world? Are they going to be finishing 5th or lower in the Premier League and not being in the top 4 and not getting Champions League football? Like, that's a real possibility, and I'm here for it. I'd love if they finish above Man United still, because I hate United more, and that'd be even funnier because, look, listen, if United finish below this Liverpool team, then that is a shocking season for them, because Liverpool right now don't have a clue what they're doing. But I'm still enjoying the Liverpool downfall. I have hated them being on our backs, making it so close. I know we've come out on top so many times, but I've hated it because it's just been so annoying, just them picking up points. And it's like we'd pick up points and we'd never gain anything on them. We'd never lose anything and we'd still come out on top. But they'd always just be there and really, really, really annoying. And I'm happy they're gone. I'm happy they've completely fallen off. I've waited for this. I've waited for this moment. Obviously, Arsenal have kind of taken their spot at this moment in time, but they're not equipped. They don't have it in their DNA. They don't have the experience. There's no proof that they could keep this going. With Liverpool, at least you could look on previous seasons and go, You know, they have this in their DNA. You know, there's proof that they can turn this around and become, you know, a good football team again. I mean, we look at last season when they were. I know there was loads of games in hand, but around Christmas time we were 12 points clear, and we kind of pissed that down the drain with a Spurs loss, and they came close again. Like, it's different now. They're 5 points away from the top 4. Let alone top of the league, top 4. They are double-digit points away from the top of the league already, and we're about a third in. Like, they're falling off. I'm happy. They've fallen off. I still hope that they have like a decently long cup run, and they do get through their Champions League group. Because if they're still playing loads of games, then that's going to fuck their league form up even more. Like, if they have loads of fixture congestion, then, you know, what do they do then? What do they prioritise? Do they prioritise nothing? Like, I want them to get through in the Champions League. This is, in my household, the common theme is Liverpool to lose every week. I've said multiple times to my parents, I actually want them to win in the Champions League. I want them to get through in the knockouts and play as much football as possible so that they can lose as many games as possible, because it's funny and it affects their league form. I'm happy this is coming. I mean, I have waited a little bit for this, and I'm glad for the downfall. It also makes great viewing. All I have to do is type in the YouTube search bar Anfield Agenda after every Liverpool game, and I've got like a solid half an hour of just amazing viewing of Craig losing his shit.
Yeah, I can't lie. I enjoy a Craig meltdown myself. I'm partial to an Anfield Agenda meltdown myself, but the wheels have fallen off at Liverpool, and that's why I wasn't too concerned after we lost them last week. I wasn't too emotional. Like, obviously it's annoying because I went in with a lot of confidence, and I was like, you know, this is a real opportunity to stick the knife into them and really make a statement ourselves and get over that Anfield issue we've had. And then I was like, oh, fuck's sake. But I didn't, it wasn't detrimental to me. It didn't ruin my week. It didn't ruin my expectations for the season. I didn't think it would damage our season. I know that we have our shit together, and especially when the business end of the season comes along, I know that we will have our shit together. We have the most ability in this league, our most capacity in this league to go on a long run and see this league out. I still believe we can win this league by late March, or if we do what we have done for a number of years now, and that's going a long winning streak or a long unbeaten streak. We will get a few draws here and there. That's only natural. And granted, we have a few tough fixtures after Christmas. But I don't see why we can't. And for Liverpool, just finding Liverpool on their top 4 thing, I struggle to see Liverpool getting top 4. I genuinely struggle to see Liverpool getting top 4. Like you said, Newcastle, you touched on it there, and people are saying it here. You said Isaac's been injured, say Maximan's been injured as well, obviously, and they're beating teams. And they're not just beating teams, they're putting in really good performances. They remind me a lot of City in sort of 2010, 2011, where they had built a decent team. They have great camaraderie. They're really together. They work for each other. They work for the manager. What they're doing works for them, and they're going to beat teams. They're going to pick up points they didn't used to. They're going to make get some surprise results and that kind of thing. Newcastle are a team to fear, man. Newcastle are a team to fear, and you got to put some respect in them. I mean, I believe Newcastle were robbed, absolutely robbed, when they went to Anfield. 3 extra minutes that didn't exist. Liverpool were given to get a winner that night, so they'll feel hard done by there. They obviously got a draw against us, and they outclassed Spurs tonight. They outclassed Spurs completely this evening. They're the real deal, and they will be low key within their own dressing room saying, there's a real chance. There's a real fucking chance for top 4 here. As long as we don't slip up regularly against the lower opposition, and we keep putting in these performances against the top 4, like your City 3-3 and beating Tottenham, like they just beaten Tottenham today. They're going to take great confidence from that. Newcastle are going to say, we can get fucking top 4 here. Bare minimum top 6. They won't say it publicly because they're still in that kind of mode of, we're the new kids on the block with money, and it's a process, it's a plan. But low key, people, you best believe in Newcastle are saying in their dressing room, we can get top 4 here. We can. We really can. And United, we're not United and Chelsea in terms of league standings, not the game. They look like they have their shit together more than Liverpool. Granted, they don't play the best football. It's not easy on the eye, but they look like they're on a bit more of a path, more of a process, whereas Liverpool are in complete disarray. Liverpool need a refreshment. I think Johnny Lara said it there. They're struggling. They need a squad refreshment. What they do. And on Jude Bellingham, can Jude Bellingham trust in the Liverpool process? Can he say, if I go there, I know for a fact they'll make the right decisions. They won't spend their money stupidly. They'll rebuild a very good squad. I don't think you can. I don't think you can, based on transfers they've done recently. I mean, the Arthur Melo one, you look at that. That was a complete panic. Is Jude Bellingham going to look at that and say that looks like a transfer of a club that means business? No, you can't. You really can't. Can you trust in City's process? Of course you can, Jude. Of course you can, my bro. You can trust in our process. We have our shit together. We know how to win these leagues. We know that when you lose a game or you drop a point or a couple of points here and there, it's not disaster. It's get back on the horse, get the rust off, and win like we did yesterday against Brighton. It's a strange one for Liverpool. It's a strange one, and by God, I'm enjoying it. By God, I'm enjoying it. People, remember for a second, people. When Liverpool were flying high and they were competing with us and they were neck and neck with us and they won their Champions League and they won their Premier League, fair enough. I won't discredit them for those achievements. But the arrogance that we have to deal with as rival fans and as football fans on a daily basis, hearing about how this player's the best in the world, that player's the best in the world, best manager in the world, best atmosphere in the world, the best chipper in the world, the best kitman in the world, the best everything. So why weren't you winning the league every year? Why were we still beating you 4 times out of 5 to the league? Why'd you only win 1 Champions League? It doesn't make sense, man. Once again, the maths ain't mapping for Liverpool Football Club. And now all of a sudden it's, it's not our fault. We've had injuries and this and that kind of thing, and we're not getting the right investment and blah, 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 blah. Come on, man. Come on. The cream rises to the top, people. Always remember that. If you're a City fan, cream rises to the top. Anyway, that's enough about Liverpool Football Club. We'll revisit that. They play Leeds at home next week. Probably a good game for Liverpool. They need a game like that. Leeds are obviously all over the place right now as well. Jesse March on the brink of losing his job, I would imagine. So it's probably a good fixture for Liverpool. But, I mean, let's say they were to drop points at home to Leeds next week. Are you then starting to think, when does Klopp's credit run out? I know Klopp has a lot of credit in the bank because of what he has achieved over recent years. I mean, he did overachieve in competing with us so tight and winning the Premier League the way he did in the Champions League and the Champions League final again. But what point I'm asking, I'm not saying it's running out soon, but I would love to know people's thoughts. When is Klopp's credit running out? At what point do you say?
Never.
What?
Never. I don't think it ever runs out. He is so protective of FSG. He never outs them and say, I've got a lack of investment, I want more players. He always goes, but the players aren't available for the right price, and the right type of player wasn't available. Like, he bends over. You saw when they were desperate in need of a midfielder, he wasn't going, I need a midfielder, I need some investment. He was going, but it's about the right player, the right price and all that. He's bending over for FSG. I think that he's almost becoming a yes man sort of vibe in terms of their ownership. I also think
Jurgen Gunnar Solskjaer, they should call him.
I mean, I also think on the FSG side, if they sack him, it's suicide. They will if they sack Jurgen. They know that if they sack Jurgen Klopp, they'll probably be forced to sell, because we know how noisy Scousers are anyway. If they go and sack Jurgen Klopp, they will be all over that club. They will run them out. Like, I'm sorry, that will happen. So I don't think there's a possibility he gets sacked. If he leaves, it's either at the end of his contract or he just walks because he feels like he can't continue, which, if they finish outside the top 4 and he doesn't walk, I don't know where the credibility has gone. Has the bar dropped that low to the point where he's accepted that that's, an at least decent job that he's done that season, that he's managed to get him into the Europa League with that squad? Like, I'm sorry, if I have any credibility of a manager, like a Klopp, and I'm currently in charge of a side that should be competing for the Premier League, has competed for the Premier League, is just off the back of a Champions League final, yes, has lost a key component in Sadio Mane, but has gone and signed a striker for 80 million euros or pounds or whatever it was. If I'm not getting in the top 4 with that sort of investment, that sort of turnaround, where I'm going and essentially, Darwin Núñez not as good as Mane, but he's cost a lot of money. He will be good in the future. I have confidence in this sort of player. I wanted this player. If I'm Klopp and I'm not getting top 4, probably walking. Like, I feel like if he has anything about him, you'd probably walk and go, I haven't done a good job. I feel like I've come as far as I can go. I don't think I can compete with the clubs at the top, the Cities, the possibly Arsenals anyway. I think I've done as much as I can. I don't think I've got it left in me to go. I mean, you've seen this season, we finished outside the top 4. My job here is done. I've won a league. I've won a Champions League. I don't feel like I can go any further. He won't do that. He probably won't do that. I mean, I'd love if he did, because I don't really, for as shit as it is right now, I mean, name me a better manager that's available that can come in and win your trophies. I don't really know if there is one at this moment. Zidane, maybe, but would he go to a club outside the top four? Steve Cooper, the man of the moment. Probably cost a little bit to buy him out of his contract, considering he just signed a new one. But genuinely, like, if you're at the top level and you expect to be at the top level and your level dips and you just keep going with it because that's any way, shape or form just kind of accepted, the bar's just lowered, and I don't think that's on. Like, that shouldn't be on as a professional. Like, you can't allow the standards to drop. As soon as you allow the standards to drop, it's curtains. It's over.
It is. It's I would do what you're suggesting if I was Klopp. If they don't get top four, it'd be like, I've taken this team as far as I can, but for some reason I don't think he will. He's a very determined guy. He backs himself. I don't think he'll walk away like that. But I'm enjoying the whole thing. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it a lot because we know what it was like to have to listen to them for the years gone by. And I said, credit them for what they did achieve. But you know what? The wheels eventually fell off, didn't they? And they're falling off right now before us. And like I said, top four is going to be a struggle for them. It's going to be a struggle for Liverpool Football Club this year. On the top four thing, Tottenham, Newcastle. I'm surprised. Joe, did you watch that game?
I did watch that game, yeah, and I wasn't too surprised. If I'm going to be honest, I wasn't too surprised that happened.
I'm surprised. I'm not surprised at Newcastle. I know what Newcastle can offer. I'm surprised at the lack of courage from an Antonio Conte team. That's Antonio Conte's big USP. His big thing is we're courageous, we're aggressive, we don't lie down to anyone. They were afraid of Newcastle. They were afraid of the new boys on the block. A new kid has just come into school and he's already bullying you. Do you know what I mean? You've been here since year 1 and it's now year 8, year 9, and the new kid just come in, transferred from a different school, and he's saying, this is my house now. This is like, we're taking your spot. That's what surprised me, because that's not the Antonio Conte I always knew.
Lads, it's Tottenham. We forget the team we're talking about here. They have season in, season out, varying different times of the season, whether they keep their shit together for 9 months and fall apart in month number 10, or whether they lose it halfway through the season. They completely lose everything. They lose their bottle, they lose, toys are out the pram, managers are unhappy, players are unhappy, leads to a sacking, they get someone in, they go on a bounce, they compete, they beat a couple of teams that everybody thought they probably wouldn't have beat. Everyone's going, right, they'll title charge next season, they'll be in the top 4, they'll win a trophy. Season starts, they start off well, they turn shit, rinse, repeat, season in, season out. You saw it with Mourinho, seen it with Conte. We didn't see it with Nuno because he completely fell apart for the first couple of months there. It's Tottenham. To quote Giorgio Chiellini, it's the history of the Tottenham. It's what they do. It's what they do. They completely fall apart. They are allergic to winning. Not winning trophies, they're allergic to winning games of football when it matters. Newcastle are posing a threat to, not to us, because we're going for the title. Newcastle are far away from the title right now, because again, I don't think they have the depth, the total quality, etc., etc. They don't have, the minerals. They've never been tested at that level. But they are posing a threat to the likes of West Ham, who've had a slow start to the season. United, Liverpool have had a very slow start. They're posing a threat to European places. If, obviously we have 7 now because there's Conference League. I don't see why Newcastle will not finish any lower than 7th. I think they will get some sort of European football. They look far too good at the moment. Like you said, they should have got something from Anfield. They got something when they played us. They got 3-3 draw. They beat Tottenham. I don't think they've played Arsenal yet or Chelsea. But they're putting in performances. They have battered teams. They have beat teams that are better than them on paper. They're going to finish in the European spot, in my opinion. Now, which one it is, I don't know. It depends how Liverpool recover, if Liverpool recover, how Spurs even get on. They're a long way from Conte leaving. Even though the football is dreadful, it is just dreadful to watch. It's painful to watch. He has an awful Champions League record. Even though he's got a really easy group, he's still struggling. And the wheels seem to be coming off just a little bit. There was that thing the other week, wasn't it? They have their best start to a Premier League season, ever. Best 10 games start to the Premier League season ever in their history. And it's they're still underwhelming. So many fans are so divided about, I've said this before as well, that dinosaur football doesn't work. These defensive, pragmatic reaction tactics that you've seen in years gone by with Conte, Mourinho, Tuchel to an extent, they don't work for winning leagues. They don't. You see Newcastle, they're a team on the front foot who wants to press and wants to attack and wants to get forward. They'll beat a team like Spurs because they want to win games. They go out with the intention of, we're here to win. Not saying that Spurs don't do that, but with the tactics that they've got, it is very reactionary. They react to what the other team does, which it just, over the last couple of years, at least in English football anyway, I know it's probably different it doesn't matter in France because it doesn't matter what PSG do, they'll go and win the league there, and maybe in Italy where it's a bit slower, but in the Premier League it doesn't work. When you've got a team like City, when you've got a team like Liverpool, have been a high press, high intensity football, defensive tactics will not win you a league title. Those days are gone. They don't work anymore. Those tactics don't work for winning leagues. They're good for one-off games of football, like cup matches, which is why I still think they could do something in maybe the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup if they decide to keep him. We all remembered what happened to Mourinho, like a couple of days before Cup final, he gets sacked. That was not a good idea. Probably the best chance that that's the best chance they've had to win a trophy in probably about a decade. That Champions League final doesn't count because they were never going to win that. But like, they could do well in the cup still. That might be what they sort of stick him for, to win a trophy. They just want to win a trophy. They want anything. They'll take, they had the Audi Cup a couple of years ago. They will take anything at this point. They just want a trophy. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go. I could easily see Conte walking at the end of the season. I could easily see him gone. I think the Juventus job will probably be open because Allegri's really struggling there. I can see Conte going back to Juventus, going back to his native Italy. I could easily see that happening because we know that based on history, even though he won the Serie A with Inter Milan, he didn't get backed in the summer with money, so he just walked. He just walked away because he wasn't getting backed. I could see a similar situation at Spurs where if it all goes tits up, he goes, see you later, lads. I don't want to do this anymore. That's the sort of manager he is, so I don't know how long he sticks around. Again, I can't wait till they play us because that's another curse that I want to get out the way with. It's just going to be a very interesting game, in my opinion, when they come and play us. But cup football's all they've got left, really. I think that they just need to kind of hope that they end up in the top four. Kind of hope that United continue to be a little bit inconsistent and Liverpool don't recover and Newcastle just fall off. And then they might be fine, but they're a good one-off team. They can pull a result out, but they're not consistent. They are far from consistent. The football doesn't really work. The same players that have been there for years at Tottenham haven't really changed. The Leopards don't change their spots. They're still, they'll back the manager until some of the results turn sour, and then it'll be toys out the pram, and they'll go back to old Tottenham. And again, I'm not really too asked because Tottenham, in my opinion, I know people at the start of the season, I think you said this as well, that Spurs will probably be in a title race for at least a few months. I never ever saw Spurs in a title race. The closest I got was when they had Mourinho and they were top of the league, and I'm like, they're going to take some beating, but then the wheels completely fell off. I've never seen Spurs in any sort of title race or anything close to that since then. I learnt my lesson of saying they were in a title race. I learnt my lesson when they completely fell apart. I'm not making the same mistake again. They are dreadful. They are awful at the minute. I know they've had a really good start to the season, but even when I watch them, they're just grinding results against teams that they should be putting aside. Like, they're grinding results against teams where we're scoring 3 or 4 goals past. Like, that's not good football. It's not winning football. The wheels will fall off. I'm confident on Conte not being there past the end of this season. And to be honest, I still hold the same message of thank you very much, Charlie Kane. Thank you very much, mate. We applaud your services to MCFC, to Manchester City Football Club. We applaud it. You had our best interests at heart. Thank you very much.
There you go, people. Joe was grateful to Charlie Kane for not making that deal.
I love the man. I love the man. I love the man. He's
big up Charlie Kane, man. Big up Charlie Kane. Listen, with Spurs, yeah, I think my issue why I rated them so highly at the start of the season or before the season started was because I'm a big fan of Conte. I rate Conte very highly. I love his passion for the game. He's a very traditional manager, and he played the way he manages, really aggressive, takes no prisoners. And I just thought he would have that Spurs. He would add more bottle to Spurs. He would get rid of that Spursy dimension to their game. But maybe it's just one of those things you can't shake off. Maybe no one can shake off the whole Spursy thing in their DNA. I don't know what it is, but listen, it's all of these things add up to just more chance for Newcastle to pull off a madness, a genuine madness. There was a question here I wanted to get to from D1, which was something about Tuchel. I think it was if Klopp leaves Liverpool, do you think Tuchel would take that job? In short, no, because I think strangely Tuchel fell in love with Chelsea Football Club. He really did. It obviously broke his heart when he got the sack. I don't think he'll go to any other real Premier League club unless someone threw a lot of money at him, or unless we came along. I think
Villa tried. Villa tried to throw money and he said no.
Yeah, I don't see Tuchel going to any other real Premier League club apart from us. I think if we want Thomas Tuchel, we could get him. I think if we want anybody, we can get them. Player, manager, we can get them because of how well our club is run. I'm not going to bother touching too much on United and Chelsea. It was a crap game, people. It was a 1-1 draw, obviously, as I'm sure you know. Probably a fair result. Neither team was great. Neither team had too many clear-cut chances. A penalty and a last-minute goal. Well, hey, they share points. I don't really care that much otherwise. If you want an in-depth analysis on United-Chelsea, you'd probably get it better from Matisse and Saeed on the Big Six. But listen, it's midnight here in Ireland and the UK. I've got a lot of travelling to do to get to Germany tomorrow, so I think we're going to wrap it up. There's still 43 in the building. If you've not done so already, or you're watching this on playback and you've watched the whole thing, first of all, thank you very much. Make sure you've hit the like button, smash the like button. I think we're nearly at 60 likes, or we're on 57, so get it up to 60 likes. Keep hitting the like button if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're about 30 or 25 subscribers away from 4.1k, so if you haven't done so already, like I said, subscribe to the channel, help us get to 4.1, and we'll keep hitting the goals, people. We'll set small goals, we'll keep hitting them together as a community. As long as you keep supporting, you keep hitting the likes, you keep subscribing, you keep sharing it around, this great community we have together, people, it's yours as well, is only going to get bigger and better. We can do bigger and better things. We've had some great guests on as well recently. Daps, Saeed, James Redmond was a great one. Some great guests we've had recently, and we can keep getting these great guests on as long as you guys keep showing the love. So that's all I ask. Hit the like button, keep subscribing, and in terms of this week's content, there will be the pretty well daily streams as usual, but obviously I am in Dortmund from tomorrow to Wednesday, so I assume Joe will cover the Dortmund content with maybe Dara or Luke or whoever's around. We'll organise something like that. So there will be Dortmund content. It just won't be with me. And then I'll be back on Thursday night I'll tell you all about the trip to Dortmund. I'll tell you about my experience in Dortmund, and we'll talk a bit about our next game. I don't know who we're playing after Dortmund. Who have we got next weekend, Joe?
Ooh, good question. Give me 2 seconds to...
Leicester away at 12:30.
They're actually... I say they're all right. I do want to... This is stuck in my head. They beat Wolves 4-0 today, right? They had 5 shots and 4 on target.
There you go. It's going to be an interesting game. 12:30 trip away to Leicester. I would not like to be going to that. I don't like the 12:30 kickoffs. I'd love to go to Leicester on a away trip, but not for a 12:30, people. I've done 12:30 kickoffs in Manchester. They're not easy to wake up for, especially when you're traveling in the morning game. Anyways, there will be Dortmund content from Joe and whoever else is available at the time. Make sure you tune in when Joe is live, probably tomorrow night for a Dortmund preview. Make sure you tune in, show Joe love, get involved in the chat as always. You're all great people. I know I can trust you all to come in and get involved as you always do. This community is growing at a very nice place. We're very, very happy to have all of you involved. So Joe will see you tomorrow night at, I don't know, maybe about 10:30 for a Dortmund preview. Turn on the notification bell if you haven't done so already so you don't miss any of the streams or any of the uploads or anything we do. One thing I want to say as well, just on the subscriber thing, when we hit 5k, I know we said we do something small when we hit 4k, but I think there's too much happening at the minute. Well, maybe we'll do something during the World Cup. When we hit 5k, we're going to do like a big call-in show. You guys can join our Discord server. Maybe Joe will leave a link for that in the chat now. You guys can join the Discord. We'll drag you into the call. We can have a chat live on stream. We'll have a few beers. We'll have a party. We'll chat about how great City are and how great and how much we love Erling Haaland. It'll be a great time. So we can look forward to that at 5k. Help us get to 5k and we will give something back to you. We'll do maybe a giveaway as well. We'll get a City shirt and we'll do a giveaway of some sort. Lots to look forward to. Genuinely really appreciate all of you, and like I said, Joe will see you tomorrow night for a Dortmund preview. Wish me good luck on my travels to Germany. Good night and God bless, people. Wrap her up, Joseph.
Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand, 'cause you are the